To understand some of the challenges we face today in making our use of the radio spectrum as productive as it can be, we have to understand the history of spectrum regulation in the United States. One of the government's most basic roles in society is to define and enforce rights of resource usage. I would have no incentive to purchase land and build a home if I could not exclude others from my property and ensure that others didn't unreasonably interfere with my enjoyment of my property. Similarly, before I'd invest in tools to communicate over the radio spectrum, I'd need to know that I could use the spectrum without intolerable interference. Saying that the government can define and enforce rights to use a given resource, even the radio spectrum, is not controversial. But historically, the U.S. government has done much more than that. It has also determined the specific uses to which the spectrum can be put and by whom. This broad government role in specifying who can use spectrum and for what purpose has had a profound effect on the availability and cost of wireless technologies. Key decisions made over 100 years ago, when wireless technology was still in its infancy, affect us today, some might say at the cost of billions of dollars to the economy. So what were those key decisions? The earliest U.S. regulation of wireless technology focused on two concerns: maritime safety and the potential for monopoly. These concerns mirrored international concerns. The Marconi Wireless Company was the dominant manufacturer of radio telegraph equipment. It specified that ships and coastal stations equipped with its radios could not accept signals from ships using other equipment. Concerns about the potential for one company to control the radio telegraph industry prompted the development of an international convention regulating radio. Two international radio conferences in Berlin culminated in the signing of the International Wireless Telegraph Convention in 1906. The 1906 convention required wireless telegraph stations open to public service to receive and send messages from ships at sea without distinction as to the type of equipment transmitting the messages. The convention also obligated the signatories to ensure that their stations gave priority to distress calls, and it reflected a concern for interference by obligating signatories to ensure that their wireless telegraph stations were organized as far as possible in such manner as not to disturb the service of other wireless stations. Although the United States didn't immediately ratify the 1906 Berlin Convention, in 1910, Congress passed a statute mirroring some of the convention's provisions. But the United States' failure to ratify the convention was a concern to the other signatories. As another international radio conference approached in 1912, the signatories to the Berlin Convention withdrew the United States' invitation to participate. The withdrawal of the invitation prompted the Senate to ratify the convention on April 3rd of 1912.